Hello everyone, Katja Paprika here again. Today, in the heat of the butter week, I decided to share with you a rather unusual pancake recipe. Perhaps it won't gain much popularity, but it will certainly be useful to at least 3 categories of people. Firstly, there are people who adhere to some strict dietary protocol, there are people who adhere to some degree of vegetarianism, and there are people who observe fasting regardless of which one specifically. After Maslenitsa, a great fast awaits us, and this option may be useful for many who are fasting for breakfast. Jumping ahead, I want to make an important note that the final result greatly depends on the choice of flour. There is flour with which the baking turns out to be more crispy, crumbly dough, and there is more sticky flour. When I first tried making a version using only brown rice flour, it seemed like I was making patties instead of bread. They were somewhat hard, but then, when they lay under a towel one on top of the other, soaked up some warmth and moisture, then the pancakes became very soft and pliable. And the second version I made half and half whole grain rice with whole grain wheat, and the result was slightly different. In general, about both and some key moments I will tell directly in the course of the video, and now let's move on to the recipe. Our main secret ingredient is quinoa, and you will need flour and water, at least 25 liters. It depends on the flour and the sweetener, but more on that a bit later. In fact, we are making milk porridge with you. For this, soak the cashews in water, then send the cashews with water to the blender cup and whip until homogeneous. The time will depend on the power of your blender. You will see that you actually got milk. We send it to the mixer and sieve the pulp. My first option is whole grain rice flour. All the flour I will use in this video will be only useful. We measure 135 grams and add salt to taste and sweetener. You can use syrup, you can use it in dry form. It will depend on this and the supplement. The volume of water. If you, like me, add dry sweetener and the bran absorbs moisture well, then you will definitely need an additional 50 milliliters of water to get the consistency of pancake batter. Let the batter stand for 15 minutes and then fry the pancakes on a well-heated skillet greased with oil. Surprisingly, bubbles even appear, but you can also add an additional leavening agent if you like a lot of holes. The finished pancakes must definitely be placed under a towel or a lid. Rice flour makes the pancakes a bit firm, but after a towel they become soft and pliable, and they are easy to roll, which cannot be done immediately after the frying pan. Now we add stickiness by diluting the whole grain wheat flour. The dough recipe is the same, but the dough is slightly darker because the whole grain wheat flour is more gray. These pancakes are much softer and more rumpled. In principle, you can experiment and add, for example, green buckwheat flour. It also gives gluten. Naturally, if you take, for example, pure wheat flour, ordinary, not even whole grain, then you will get more or less classic ones to which you are always used to. In other words, you can take different types of flour and get different results. Here are both options for you to compare. I won't go so far as to say that these are exactly like classic pancakes, of course. There's a lot more to our traditional classic pancakes. We slather them with a lot of melted butter and they turn out so fatty and juicy. This, of course, is a bit different, but the pancakes still turn out very soft, tender, and quite tasty. Especially if you're going to eat it with some jam or syrup, you won't even realize that these are some non-traditional pancakes. Actually, that's all I have. You were with Katja Paprika. Listen to yourself and your body, and let's eat delicious and healthy food.